So we're going to start with the transportation piece first. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dakota.
Thank you, Rebecca. My name is John Dakota. I am the Transportation Director here at the Lowell Public Schools. And I'm just going to kind of give you a preview of what you need to do if you want your child who will be attending kindergarten to receive school bus transportation for the upcoming 2022-23 school year. As you can see on the screen, it's on our Lowell Public Schools website. And right in front of you is when you click the transportation icon, this is what you see. If you would like your child to receive school bus transportation, you would click on the transportation form that's right there. If you want to click that, Jen. And what it does, it brings you to the form. And basically all you're doing is entering data that is pertinent to the information to pick up your child at a corner pickup stop for the upcoming school year. The schools are there. Then it's basic information. And as you go through it, just fill it out. And what it does is it comes to us at the transportation department. And what we'll do is we'll route your child. And what happens is for the upcoming school year, you will receive a school bus pass, most likely 3 to 4 days prior to the first day of school. Okay. Now with our kindergartners and first graders, we maintain that a older sibling, 4th grade or older, or a parent or guardian be present at the bus stop in the afternoon. If a sibling or parent or guardian is not there, your child will be brought to the Moody School, which is located at 158 Rogers Street in Lowell, for you to go pick up your child. Okay, once again, you need to be present at the bus stop in the afternoon. So as Jen is scrolling down to the form, it's simple information that needs to be just filled out. And once again, once you're finished and submit it, it will come to my department and we'll route it for the upcoming school year. You will also have the opportunity to put in alternate addresses if you want, or AKA babysitter form. So in the morning, you may have to go to work in the morning, you drop off your child at a certain, at maybe your mom's house or anybody's house, and we'll route the bus stop there. Okay, so that's pretty simple information that needs to be filled out. Now, what I'd like to do is, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to zoning in the Lowell Public Schools. And as you can see here on the map that Jen's putting up here, we're basically broken down into 2 zones. Zone 1, which is the kind of the pinkish area, and that encompasses Pawtuckaville, the Acre, and the Highlands, Lower Highlands, Upper Highlands. On the right-hand side in the gray color is the upper right-hand corner of Centerville, then comes down to Lower Belvedere, and South Lowell. Okay. Where the confusion lies a lot of times with parents is sprayed in between these zones are citywide schools. Those would be the Bartlett, the Lincoln, the Moody, the Pine, the Robinson. Those schools get citywide transportation. Okay. So if your child, let's say, was assigned to the kindergarten class at the Bartlett school, as long as you live 3/4 of a mile from your house or your babysitter's house, you will receive transportation. Okay. If you do not, it will be your responsibility to bring your child to school. So it obviously, when you are registering the clerks, you had 3 picks. If you lived in Centerville, you would get to pick from the gray area all those schools in there. So kindergarten in the upper right-hand corner would be the Green Arch, the McAuliffe. As you go into Lower Belvedere, it would be the Rogers School, which is a citywide school, the Moody School, the Riley School, the Pine Arts School, the Shaughnessy School. Those would be Zone 2 schools that you'd be able to pick. And as long as, once again, I need to reiterate, is that you must live 3/4 of a mile from your house or your babysitter's address in order to have transportation for your child. Once again, the citywide schools, still the same parameters, 3/4 of a mile, but they don't have to be in the same district per se. Rebecca, if you want to jump in anytime, I don't want to confuse people,
No,
but
that's okay, John.
right.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we get to registering and school selection as well.
All right, very well. All right. Any questions? The easiest way is to give me, send me an email, and that's on the website. As you go back to the website, if you could, Jen. And my email is right there as well. You can send that to me, and I will reply to you with any answers to your questions. But once again, I think the highlight is filling out the transportation form and making sure that you live 3/4 of a mile or more once your school has been assigned to your child. All right. I think that might be it on my end, Rebecca.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye. So Jen, if we could put up the slideshow, please. I just want to thank Mr. Dakota. He had a prior engagement, so that's why he went first. But it was still important information. I'm glad he was able to share it with us. So again, welcome to the Lowell Public Schools Kindergarten Registration Information Session for spring 2022. And this is for the upcoming school year for all our little kindergartners who are starting in the fall for the first time. So it's very exciting and welcome. My name is Rebecca Duda. I'm the coordinator of the Family Resource Center, as well as the district's homeless liaison. And if we can just go to the next slide, Jen. So this is the agenda. We're going to talk about who's eligible for kindergarten, the basic process. We have a lottery system, so we'll talk about the lottery system, and then next steps, and we'll take, of course, any questions you may have. So the first question is, who is actually eligible for kindergarten in September of 2022? And the answer is any child who lives in Lowell who will be 5 as of September 1st of this year. So if your child was born on September 2nd or 3rd, they're close, but they're after the deadline. So the child must be 5 on or before September 1st of this year. If they make that age requirement that is set by the school committee, then they're eligible for kindergarten, and we'll be happy to welcome them this fall. The other thing I'd like to point out as well, if your child is currently in Lowell Public Schools preschool program, you must re-enroll for kindergarten. Don't assume your child will just continue at that preschool wherever they may be in the fall, okay? Preschool is separate from kindergarten, and you must re-enroll. Okay? So the question is, my child meets the age requirement and we live in Lowell, so how do I register for kindergarten? And there's actually three ways to register. Well, in essence, it all becomes the same way because we do it online. And we have an online registration portal that's on our website. And there are 3 ways you can access the online registration portal. The first is if you have a desktop computer at home or at work, or if you have access to one at a family's home, for example. Registration is not mobile friendly, so it won't work on a tablet or a phone. So you do actually need a computer. So if you don't have a computer, how can we help you? Well, you're welcome to come into the Family Resource Center located at 151 Merrimack Street, downtown. And we have public access computers, and we'll be happy to assist you in person using our desktop computers. If you feel that you need support because you're not tech savvy and you're not familiar with how this might work, or you just feel that you need some support, even language support, feel free to schedule an appointment, and we'll make sure that a staff member is expecting you, and we'll support you in any way possible. So you can schedule an appointment by using that email right there. That's a general email that goes to the entire staff, Family Resource Center at lowell.k12.ma.us. And of course, all of our information about kindergarten registration can be found at our website, which is listed there. It's on the we have our own page on the district's website. Now, if you want to access our services inside the office, what time are we open? We're open Monday through Friday from 7 to 4 each day. If you are coming in to complete a registration, then please be there by 3:15 because you'll need some time to complete it, and we'll help you upload your documents and things like that. And of course, the clerks often are working late, as Lynn will attest to. One of my clerks is here now, one of my administrative assistants. So we'd be happy to accommodate you if you need to come in a little bit later than that. And we've had families do that. Okay. Now, I did mention language support, and I don't know, Vanak, you want to talk a little bit about your team and how they support families?
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. So my team of bilingual family liaisons also are available at the Family Resource Center. The languages we cover are Swahili, French, Khmer, Spanish, and Portuguese. For any other language supports that are needed, we also have additional resources that we can use. So if you're looking to register, if you have any questions, or you would like to connect with someone in your language, please take a look at the phone numbers and the emails here. We also have this posted online as well.
Yes, and I also have 2 administrative assistants who are bilingual as well, both of whom speak Portuguese. So we do have staff in the Family Resource Center to support your language needs. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to my administrative assistant, Lynn Moran, and she's going to talk about her role and her colleagues' role, and then what they need from parents as part of the registration process. So Lynn, could you speak a little about
Sure.
the documents the parents need and processing registrations?
Yep. So before you can register your child, we'll need all of these documents. We'll need the child's birth certificate, the actual birth certificate, not like the hospital record or, a legal birth certificate, the immunizations for the child, a photo ID for the parent, and a proof of Lowell residency, which should be a gas, electricity, or cable bill, a lease or a mortgage that is within the last 30 to 45 days. And if you're doing it at home, you can upload the documents on your own. When you do the registration, there's a tab that says documents at the end, and you're able to put them in. And if you're not able to do that, you can bring them to us and we can put them in for you. Or you can email them to whoever if you know who's handling your child's registration, they might reach out to you for the documents, but we can't really complete any of the registrations until we have all of these documents. So they're very important, especially the immunizations.
Yes, we'll talk a little bit more about the health requirements, yes. And
So,
if you, oh, sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, or you can just email that family resource email with your child's documents and just make sure that somebody gets back to you that they were received and downloaded into your child's file. And
Yes, absolutely. The documents are very important. We need those in order to complete the registration. When you actually complete the online registration, you'll be asked to fill in obviously basic information, child's name, phone numbers, emergency contact information, a few other things. But as Lynn stated, it's really important that we have the documents. Otherwise, the clerks can't complete the registration and move it forward. Now, one thing that we have, if you're not able to provide one of these items that we require for proof of residency, because you must be a Lowell resident to attend the Lowell Public Schools, please have a conversation with us because we do abide by the McKinney-Vento Education Act. And my McKinney-Vento family liaison, Sarah Zatorsky, is here to talk more about what McKinney-Vento is and how she can support you, as well as the other liaisons in the department. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. So like Rebecca has said, I am the McKinneyVento liaison, or one of them. And McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Act is, it's a federal act that helps families who are typically in need. So these families are considered homeless in our systems. That could mean you are living in a shelter or a hotel, or it could also just mean that you are living with another person due to loss of housing or economic hardship, or some sort of similar reason. With that in mind, if you don't have a lease or a mortgage or some sort of utility bill, due to those reasons, we are notaries and we would have you sign what's called a third-party affidavit that just states that you are living at the address in fact that you are saying. So we can show proof of address if that's one of the documents that you're missing. Being McKinney-Vento also means that you have almost immediate enrollment. So if you're missing some health records, you can still enroll in school and we can work on getting those immunizations while the child is in school. If you have any questions about what McKinney-Vento is, whether you qualify for McKinney-Vento, anything along those lines, please email the email line below. That's the best way to reach us with any questions at all. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, because we don't want missing documents to be a barrier to registration if in fact you do qualify for McKinney-Vento services. As Mr. Dakota said at the start of the presentation, Lowell is split into essentially 3 zones. We have zone 1, which would be the pink zone here. That's an image of the map that he showed you earlier. Zone 2 is the gray area. I should actually, zone 1 would be zip codes 01851 and 01854. Zone 2 would be 01852 and 01850. And of course, we have citywide schools that you may select regardless of your zip code. So depending upon your zip code, you will be eligible to select schools within those zones. And you can actually, when you're doing the online registration, there's a few things I want to point out. You will be asked to select 3 schools. So we encourage you to go and read about each school on the website. You might even be familiar with some of the schools. You might already know which schools you want to select, but part of the online application and things that my administrative assistants like Lynn will see are your school choices. And if they're not in the right zone, Lynn will reach out to you or whoever's processing your registration, because if you're out of zone, as Mr. Dakota mentioned at the beginning, you will be ineligible for transportation, regardless of how far away from the school you are. All right. And if transportation is important to you, then we want you to be aware that you're not in the right zone. Now, if for some reason, and this happens rarely, that you really do need an out of zone assignment, then that's okay, as long as I have enough space. But again, you're ineligible for transportation. So it happens rarely, but sometimes it happens mostly due to a babysitter situation. So for those people who may not be familiar with which schools are in which zones, zone 1 would be Bailey, McAvenue, Morey, Merkland, Pawtucketville. Zone 2 would be the Greenhouse and McAuliffe up in Centerville, the Riley, the Shaughnessy, and the Washington. Okay, and of course our citywide schools are the Bartlett, the Lincoln, the Moody, the Pine, and the STEM. Not sure why the Pine is in blue there. It's a citywide school. I should point out that the Bartlett and the Pine are a little different because they're K through 8 schools. So you would not have a transition to middle school. The child would stay there right through 8th grade. So that is something to consider. Oh, and the STEM as well.
Mhm.
Thank you. And the STEM as well. Forgot about the STEM. Those are K through 8 schools. So that's something you may want to consider. Okay. All right. So the kindergarten registration period for, I think my dates are wrong there. Sorry, it should say 22 to 23 because we're in the next school year. Sorry. Basically, the kindergarten registration for September is open. Okay. I put the wrong dates there. And we have what's called a lottery system. And right now, as long as you're registered by June 7th and all of your documents are accepted, like your registration is complete, not just that you initiated the process, then you will be in our first lottery, which will be held on June 14th. Now, what does that mean? Some school districts have neighborhood schools, for example, in Drake, right next door where I live, next community over, we have neighborhood schools. So your school would be determined by your street address. In Lowell, as you can see, because we've been talking about it, we have zones and you have choices depending upon many different factors. Maybe one school starts earlier or later and it works better for your work schedule. Maybe you have an older child in another school. So there is what we call school choice in Lowell. So lotteries, though, because of this, I don't know who's going to request which schools each year. So a lottery will be triggered if I have more families requesting a school than I have available seats. For the most part, it's not in every school. It's just usually these are the potential lottery schools: Bailey, Morey, Pine, Pawtucketville. Those seem to have a very popular in our school choice, but it could change. Some years one year I had the Bartlett, so you never know. Okay. So that's why, again, it's important to choose 3 schools, because you may not want to go through the lottery process and you might just get your second choice school. Okay. Now, we can just go back one thing. I want to point out something, Jen, about the kindergarten lottery. The lottery is a weighted lottery. So if you have siblings in the school, you'll be given more weight in the lottery. If you are McKinneyVento, you'll be given more weight in the lottery, things like that. But siblings is definitely, we do our very best not to split up siblings. That would be a burden on families. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware that it is in fact a weighted lottery. Right? That's different from preschool, where it was just a straight up lottery. So what happens after you've worked with my administrative assistants and the office? You will get, after the lottery, you will get a school assignment letter. You'll get a hard copy in the mail and an email. We'll have all your emails, because that's one of the questions we ask at registration. You need to have an email to use the online platform, and we will email you that information. You don't need to return anything to the Family Resource Center. So for those of you who are familiar with our preschool process, that's different. In preschool, you have to, they send you a form to confirm your placement and whether or not you accept or reject it. We don't have that here. We assume that you want the school that you've selected, and you don't have to return anything, okay? You would only need to contact us if there's something has changed, okay? And we'll work with you to see if we can get you a different school. Perhaps you moved into a different zone, for example, right? And now you're not eligible for transportation. And at this time, I would be happy to take, as well as everyone who's on the call with me, any questions. I saw a lot of things going on in the chat. Let me just read through these so everyone can hear the answers if they haven't seen it. The first question was, can I enroll my kid if she is 4 years and 9 months? Unfortunately, no. She would be eligible for preschool registration. So you could go online and register her for our preschool or for preschool, and that would be fine, but she's actually a year early for kindergarten. There's a comment here. I was able to do it on my mobile phone. I just had to switch to desktop view. Okay. And that's true. You can do that. It's just, it's not as convenient. I don't want people to think it's mobile friendly. Question. If one of our documents is not accepted, we will be notified of that so we can correct it. And the answer is yes. I see that Lynn answered yes to that. Yep, my clerks will work with you to get the documents as well as Sarah or the other McKinney-Vento liaisons. Question, I'm a volunteer supporting an Afghan family that arrived in November. What do we do if the child does not have a birth certificate? And I see that Vanak answered that question. And that for those, if you didn't see the answer, we would take the highest government document as proof of birth. And it is usually the I-94 form. Question. My daughter was in preschool in the Maury Elementary School, so my daughter should be enrolled automatically to kindergarten. No, you must enroll for kindergarten. Okay, you must enroll. Preschoolers, you can't assume your child will go to the Maury again. Okay. Most likely, but you have to re-enroll otherwise, because everyone will be withdrawn from preschool. Does the school nurse have access to Mass Health portals where immunizations are listed? I know that they are, they have access to some portal where they can get health records. So I said this, I don't know if it's the actual Mass Health portal, but when your child is immunized, your physician is supposed to upload their records to this portal that nurses have access to. So yes, the answer is yes. I'm just not sure if it's the same one as Mass Health. Again, another question. Even if your student was with preschool, you still need to register them. That is correct. So after the registration for kindergarten, can she still, or we won't know which schools have lotteries. The question is, my child's in preschool, will she still be eligible to go to the same school? The answer is I'm not sure yet because I don't know which school is going to have a lottery. Okay. Most likely, but we can't make any promises because we don't know, right? If we've had 300 kids enroll for kindergarten so far, perhaps 150 have asked for the Riley. That's going to trigger a lottery. Okay. I have twins. Will they be automatically placed in the same school? The answer is yes, unless one of them has an IEP that would require a specialized placement. If any of your children have IEPs, please upload them as part of your registration. And Sarah or Lynn or Vinod, feel free to chime in if I'm missing something. So when can I register for kindergarten? You can register now. It's online. If I put one school twice, is that a bigger chance of getting that school? No. It's so it's not like having two lottery tickets, right? You get one ticket to the lottery. So it's whatever your first choice is. Okay. And actually, I would advise against doing that because if you don't say you select a school and it goes to lottery and you don't win the lottery, you will have an option at that point. You can either choose to go into the second round of lotteries because we have 3 lotteries throughout the summer before all the seats are filled, or you can select, but your odds will decrease with each lottery, right? Because I have fewer seats. Or you can select your second choice school. But if you don't have a second choice school, it's going to make it very difficult. You're putting all your eggs in one basket, okay? If we select a citywide school, will the school bus pick up the kids? If you're within the bus zone, you need to be bus eligible, so that you need to be 3/4 of a mile from the school. Otherwise, you're in the walk zone. So citywide school does not guarantee you a bus. It's always based on how far the child is at pickup to the school, right? If your child is already enrolled in a preschool, do you get first preference for your child to continue kindergarten there? No, that is not part of the lottery. When can I start registration? Again, you can start anytime. How do I get after school programs? We have on the district's website, we actually have a webpage called special programs. And it has after school programs that are listed. Those are run not by the Lowell Public Schools. I assume whoever asked me that question was Andrea. You're looking for programs like CTI or it's CTI or the Y or the Boys Club, something that's in the school. So those aren't run by the Lowell Public Schools. So you would actually need to apply for those programs, make sure they have space. When should we fill out the transportation form? Good question. When you get your school assignment, because you don't know which school you're going to be assigned to yet. So once you get the assignment, then fill out the transportation form. My son's already in preschool. Do I still register him like a new student? Yes, because he is a new student.
We have some questions in the Q&A as well. I'll just go ahead.
Sure.
So how do I get information about the after-school programs for each school?
For each school, that should be on the website. Our special programs information should list where they are. They do change each year where some of them are located. So you might want to double check. You might want to call, for example, if you're interested in the CTI program or the Y, and it was at a particular school, you might want to just call and see if it's still going to continue there next year. Excuse me.
I will drop the link for the after school and summer programs into the chat. And then your best bet would be to follow with Carolyn Rushlow, who's our coordinator.
Absolutely. Yep.
She's under the Office of Teaching and Learning, I think, right? On the website.
Yes.
That is correct. Yep.
Next question, can I start the registration and have an affidavit handed in afterward?
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry, Vinod.
Can I start the registration and have the affidavit handed in afterward?
Absolutely. If you have an affidavit, I would reach out to Sarah. She's on this call. That we have other liaisons in the office as well, but connect with Sarah and she'll support you in that process. Sarah, is there anything you want to add to that?
I can put my email in the chat, so anybody that needs any questions about third parties or housing situations, whether they qualify for McKinneyVento, please reach out, and I'd be happy to respond. And I also just wanted to let you guys know about the transportation aspect of McKinneyVento. We provide transportation for, say you move from one zone to the other zone, you under McKinneyVento would still qualify for transportation. That is the exception to the busing situation.
And they will also support you if you have questions about housing. We don't provide housing, but we can support you through your journey in looking for different housing options and things like that.
And if you are going to start a registration and hand in the affidavit, there's a when you finish the registration, there's a note section where you can write notes. You should just let us know that you're going to be handing one in and that you can't provide a proof of address right now, so that we will know to go ahead with the registration and wait for your affidavit to come. Just let us know that you are having a hard time with a lease or a mortgage or a gas or electric bill, that you don't have one of those, so that we can process without that.
Thank you. Benak, I just see a question that came in the chat. It says, if your child currently has an IEP and gets services at your school of first choice, would it not make more sense that this is considered when applications are reviewed? Yes, IEPs, well, any child with an IEP, the IEP will be reviewed by the special ed department, and they will inform me as to where the child should be placed. So if that means continuing in the school that they are, then they will tell me that. If they're recommending that the child can be placed anywhere, then the child can be serviced at any school. So we're not special education. That's not our area of expertise. They will review each IEP and let us know where they're recommending placements. So yes, that is a consideration.
There are some other questions that we can quickly just reiterate the answer. My son is already in pre-K. Do I still register him? Yes, you'll need to register him again for kindergarten. Can I start registration and finish at a later time when I'm able to upload documents? Yes. Rebecca, I'll have you answer this question. When's the soonest we'd find out when our child was picked?
When will we find out when they've been selected for the lottery for their school assignment?
Yes.
The first lottery is June 14th, so we'll start processing June 15th. So within that week, all right? And then the next round of lotteries will open up, and we'll have a second lottery in July for people who register later.
And just a reminder that not all schools are lottery schools.
Correct. Not all schools are lottery schools. In fact, last year we only had one lottery. So you never know. It does change each year.
To follow up that question, there was a more recent comment. So if there's no lottery for their school, will we still find out June 15th?
Yes. Yep. My clerks will start processing everyone on June 15th. That is correct.
I just want to interject real quick. Just because we start processing on June 15th does not mean you will get an answer on June 15th. It typically takes a couple of days when we have large amounts of people registering.
Correct, because we'll still be supporting people in the office. My clerks will begin the process of notifying people on the 15th. All right, so we'll have hundreds of people to service. So you will hear, we'll begin the process that on the 15th. All right, good, but they actually have to physically go into the computer system and mark off in your child's individual file. It is the Bailey, right? So it's in the computer, and then the school knows, and they can start their roster building. So it's not like it's instantaneous, but we will begin the 15th. Okay? Here's a good question, Vanak, I have here, if you don't mind. It says, I cannot log into my account. It says I have an account already, but I don't think I've ever made one. All right, that's part of our transition process. So please email the Family Resource Center email, and we will direct you to the database manager. Okay.
And there's one last question in the QA. I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, Rebecca. Do some schools have after-school programs on site Monday through Friday?
Yes, some schools do have them on site Monday through Friday. Not all schools, but if your school you select does not have a program on site, you can get bused to that program if it's in the same area, right?
From CTI or the boys.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Or the YMCA.
Yep. Do you have any more questions in your Q&A, Vanak? I think I got all mine in the chat.
The chat's complete and Q&A is all complete.
Right.
For any parents we have, do you have any last questions for us?
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. We're excited to service you and your family as you start with the Lowell Public Schools. It's a very exciting time period for the little ones. And again, if you should think of anything as it comes up, especially as you're doing the form, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us, all right? Because we have a whole staff here between Vanak and the McKinneyVento team and the administrative assistants. We're all here to service you. So we'll be happy to help you. Feel free to reach out to any of us, all right?
And we have just one last question before we depart.
Okay.
Last year, I created an Aspen account, but now it is disabled. Can I request a new one?
Yep, just email the Family Resource Center general email and we'll direct you to the database manager. Yep.
And also if you say having trouble logging in, it gives you the help desk email to
Yes,
email them. Yeah, if you just hit, I'm having trouble logging in, it will give you
Yep.
another email, you can email them as well.
thank you, Lynn. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's just one more question snuck in. Is registration open now? Yes.
Yes.
Just be sure to select for 22-23 school year when you do register.
Yes. I registered my child before the registration opened. Yes. The answer is yes. Will it automatically be added to the new pool? The answer is yes. Yep. And I see obrigado.
You're
You're very
welcome.
welcome. You're very welcome.
They're learning.
All right. Well, you have a nice night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Have a good night.